I've talked about how these anti choice states are running out doctors and nurses. I've also talked about how girls are choosing colleges that are outside of these anti choice states. Now we're going to talk about it hitting them in the bottom line, in their pocketbook. This article from The Hill: dozens of Texas businesses back challenge to abortion ban. This is why our economy is taking a hit. Ambiguities in Texas' abortion ban are making it harder for businesses in the state to recruit, a coalition of businesses argued on Thursday. 51 businesses have signed on to an amicus brief by in-house counsel at dating site Bumble, which was filed in support of 22 women who are suing the state over their abortion ban. The plaintiffs in that case, Zurowski versus Texas, are 20 former patients who argue that they were denied medically necessary procedures because physicians were afraid of legal consequences. As a tech company largely run by women, Bumble CEO Whitney Wolfe Herd said she feels it has a duty not to just provide access to healthcare, but to speak out and speak loudly against the retrogression of women's rights. The businesses signed onto the letter, which include dating sites Bumble and Match, which owns Match.com and Tinder, advertising giants Preacher and GDS and M, event organizers SW South by Southwest, and the United States Women's Chamber of Commerce, as well as dozens of Texas real estate, law firms, and restaurant groups, argued that the state's abortion laws make it unattractive for families looking to move to a place where they can have kids. In the wake of Supreme Court's overturning Roe v. Wade, Texas has enacted a near total ban on abortion after a fetus has a heartbeat, which typically occurs around 6 weeks into pregnancy and often before a woman even knows she's pregnant. After that point, the state only allows the procedure when it's deemed medically necessary, an exception that Zerwowski plaintiffs and others argue is overly ambiguous, and has not translated into legal abortions in the real world. The uncertainty in those laws has impacted and will continue to impact companies doing business in Texas. Companies are thinking about doing business in Texas, employees living in or traveling to Texas, and individuals considering relocating to Texas. Because of those undeniable realities, businesses are now forced to confront this issue head on, not for moral or legal reasons, but to keep the lights on and people working, making money. No sector of the Texas economy is immune. The state's GOP leadership has sought to attract transplants from other states to Texas, which it has cast as pro-business, a small government paradise, a place with no income tax and consistent local regulations, and where parents' rights in schools reign supreme. But the Bumble letter draws together case studies of prospective transplants, including oil company executives who decided against moving to Texas based on their desire to start a family. It also emphasizes the risk felt even by women who are visiting the state on business or for the lucrative professional conventions that Texas that Texas cities compete to attract. In 23, for example, the Society of Women Engineers, an organization with 40,000 members, announced it would not hold conferences in any locations where there are limits on reproductive health care, a list that includes Texas. SWE was joined in this move by other professional societies like the Society for Integrative and Comparative Biology and the Journal of Urology, which cited the duty of the conference organizers to reasonably ensure female urologists can safely attend without the threat of catastrophic health consequences. The Bumble filing draws on research that found that nearly half of young women in 9 battleground states are considering making plans to move to a state with comprehensive protections for reproductive health care, and nearly 2/3 of college-educated workers nationwide would not consider a job in a state with anti-choice people running things. Okay, it says with some abortion restrictions. That's what it really said. To make matters worse, women and their doctors don't have a clear picture of what conditions are exceptional enough to allow them to secure abortions under the exceptions for medically necessary cases. Filing author Sarah Stewart of law firm Reed Smith told The Hill. The Sorowski question is, what standard doctors need to meet. Is it good faith medical judgment or something else? Stewart added that the inherent complication and unintended consequences that attend pregnancy make it a set it and forget it list of exceptions untenable. If it's an objective standard, then the state will always be able to come up with another doctor who will testify that this abortion wasn't necessary. So that brings no comfort and no clarity and certainty to the doctor. All this means that the ban is costing the state 15 billion with the B billion per year in lost revenues as qualified candidates go elsewhere and women of childbearing age stay out of the workforce, according to a 2021 report by the Institute for Women's Policy Research cited in the Bumble letter. The businesses that signed onto the Bumble filing argue that these costs are falling on them to draw people to states where abortion bans are in place. Businesses are now having to beef up their medical policies to pay for travel so that employees can get reproductive health care outside the state. The letter notes something that corporations from Microsoft and Disney to Google and Wells Fargo now are. There's not any demonstrable policy that deals with the issue of actually giving women the support they need to have a reasonable choice to become a mother. The Bumble letter echoes these concerns. As medical practitioners leave Texas to avoid being caught up in the abortion ambiguities, is creating a feedback loop that further pushes away business and workers. Cox case, she said, are why businesses, that's the Kate Cox case, are why businesses will continue to struggle to recruit and retain talent. This is why pregnant women from other states are hesitant to travel to Texas for business meetings. This is why doctors are leaving the state. And this is why our economy is taking a hit. You have got to hit their pockets. They're not going to move simply because people are protesting or anything. You got to hit them in their pocketbook, and that's the only thing that's going to create change. Y'all go ahead and jump in the comments and let me know what you think about this one. Okay, so Texas is going through all kind of lawsuits. Now, this one did kind of make me chuckle a little bit. Pregnant Texans continue to be pulled over in carpool lane after some abortion ruling. I have 2 heartbeats in the car. I mean, it makes sense to me. If you're going to give a fetus the rights of a human, then why can't a mother use that same argument? I don't know. Officials in Texas continue to ticket pregnant women driving in carpool lanes despite the state's stance on abortion that grants unborn children the rights of people. That's so weird that they get to pick and choose when the fetus has rights or not. Okay, so the pushback comes in response to the state's extra restrictive ban, which, these procedures are not permitted after there is a fetal heartbeat. So a Texas woman who did not wish to be named told the Daily Mail she was alone in her car while pregnant and driving in a carpool lane, which is reserved for vehicles with 2 or more passengers. When she was ticketed, she protested the ticket and is not the first pregnant woman to challenge the state's apparent hypocrisy. Another woman, who only identified herself as Jacqueline, told the outlet she was pulled over in late June while pregnant and driving in the carpool. When the officer asked if she had 2 people in the car, she said, "Yes, I'm pregnant. I'm 32 weeks pregnant. I have 2 heartbeats in the car." She was ticketed and inspired to fight the ticket, pled not guilty, and advanced the issue after hearing about Brandy Botan's story. In June 2022, Bolton was pulled over for driving in the carpool lane. It was 5 days after the Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade, and Bolton argued that her unborn child now counted as a person. Her story was picked up nationwide, and her citation was ultimately dropped. She now hears from women who are in similar situations. She told the Daily Mail, "Other women have reached out to me where they said, 'I don't know what to do. This is too much for me. I'll pay the fine.'" She criticized the lack of clarity Texas lawmakers have on enforcing the traffic rules. It makes no sense. It's just whatever fits their agenda for that day, which is what hypocrisy is. 2 bills were introduced in the Texas legislature to allow pregnant women to drive in the HOV lane, but both bills died before going to the floor vote. At this time, the use of HOV lanes by pregnant drivers is not specifically addressed by state law. Texas has some of the strictest reproductive ban laws in the country, prohibiting all of the procedures after 6 weeks and only allowing for narrow exceptions. I'm totally interested and invested in how Texas is going to handle this. Is a fetus a person or not? They cannot keep vacillating between these rules to control women, which they are doing. It's not about an unborn child, because if it was about an unborn child, they would allow a woman whose fetus is non-viable to have the procedure done. But they're not doing that because it's not about life, it's about control. Anyways, how do you guys feel about this? Where do you fall? Should these pregnant women be taking it this far? Let me know what you think. So someone sent me this video of this woman recounting the story of what happened when Roe v. Wade fell, and she found out that she was carrying a fetus that was non-viable. This condition was incompatible with life. That's how they described this pregnancy, that this baby would not become a baby. It wouldn't become a baby that was going to live a healthy life. And she wanted to have some options, and she was not able to exercise any options because of these anti-choice people. You cannot convince me that these good religious people, these, pro-life people, like, yay, let's go life, let's go unborn children. You cannot convince me that their supposed God wants women to suffer like this. Here's the video.
3 weeks that she wasn't going to survive. I was supposed to have a termination for medical reasons, like an induction of labor in the hospital, and when Roe versus Wade was overturned, it was canceled. The Committee of Ethics decided that it wasn't a threat to my life, and so I was not able to get the termination. I was supposed to go to Colorado, but my post went extremely viral, and there was pro-lifers calling the clinic, threatening my life, threatening their lives, and it wasn't safe for me to go out there. Carrying her to term was absolutely horrible. I had to go out in public and have people ask me how far along I was, what the gender of my baby is, and I would answer those questions knowing deep down that she wasn't going to make it, that it wasn't a happy pregnancy, that she was suffering inside of me. So she ended up living for 44 hours. Those 2 days were absolutely horrible because there was nothing that I could do to protect her, to make her more comfortable. My milk came in the day after she passed, and I had no baby to feed. The most painful reminder that my baby was gone. I struggle with anxiety every single day now. My body is constantly in fight or flight mode. After watching a piece of my heart die, I'm not me anymore.
Hi, everyone. George Steph